Mr. Shi?
Here.
Mr. Errico?
Here.
Mrs. Ward?
Here.
Mrs. Maroney?
Here.
Mr. Brescher?
Here.
Dr. Chen? All present with Mrs. Peng, Mrs. Patel, and Mrs. Conway.
The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the previous provisions of this act, the Edison Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the Board of Education administrative offices. Copies of these notices were sent to the Home News Tribune and the Star Ledger on January 3rd and on February 19th, 2019. The public may participate at regular meetings in accordance with the bylaws and the applicable state regulations. So since last week, because of snow, we did not have the caucus meeting. So we're going to have a closed session first, then we're going to come back. So Dan?
Okay, whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975, permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances until they exist, therefore be resolved by the Board of Education of the Township of Edison as follows. 1, the public shall be excluded from discussion of and action upon the herein specified subject matters. 2, the general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is as follows. Attorney-client privilege discussion regarding student issues, board policies, superintendent search, litigation brought on by former board members, former employees, shared services agreements, construction litigation, ETA grievances, PERC, and unfair labor practices. Under personnel, we'll be discussing resignations and terminations, retirements, appointments, leaves of absences, changes of status, longevity, salary adjustments, substitute staffs, hourly breakfast aid, Saturday Intervention Academy, middle school, parent, university, elementary family math night, learning leaders, summer work, co-curricular appointments, coaching appointments, and job descriptions. 3, it is anticipated at this time that the above stated subject matters should be made public at such time as the need for non-disclosure no longer exists, and 4, this resolution shall take effect immediately.
All right. Can I have a motion? Mrs. Maroney, second. Mrs. Conway?
Dr. Chen?
Yes.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Brescher?
Here. Yes.
Mrs. Maroney?
Yes.
Mrs. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Errico?
Yes.
Mr. Shi?
Yes.
All yes.
So we'll be back at about 7 o'clock. Thank you.
I know.
All right. Sorry we are a little bit later than 7 o'clock, but we tried to do our best. So now let's reconvene to open session. Do I have a motion? Okay, Mrs. Conway, Mr. Errico.
Mr. Shi?
Here. Yes.
Mr. Errico?
Yes.
Mrs. Ward?
Here.
Mrs. Maroney?
Here.
Mrs. Peng?
Here.
Mr. Brescher?
Here.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Dr. Chen?
Here.
All present with Mrs. Patel.
Okay, so first we're going to approve the minutes of January 2nd, 15th, 23rd, and 28th, and the board secretary's report. Can I have a motion for that? Mrs. Maroney, can I have a second? Okay, Mr. Errico.
Dr. Chen?
Yes.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Brescher?
Yes.
Mrs. Peng?
Mrs. Pan.
Mrs. Peng?
Yes.
Yes. Mrs. Maroney?
Yes.
Mrs. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Errico?
Yes.
Mr. Shi?
Yes on everything except abstain on the January 23rd. I was not here.
23rd, got it. Okay, thank you.
So now we're going to open up for public comments, but before we go to that, there are a couple of things. If you look at the administration, number 4, there's a sidebar agreement. I like to propose to table that. And also, you have received the personnel report. Towards the end, there are 2 job descriptions, which is the changing the job titles to assistant superintendent for 2 positions. I like to table that as well. So first is the sidebar agreement with ETTA. We still need a little bit of discussion. We're not clear on certain, a couple little things. And for the 2 job descriptions, about, you know, the last two job descriptions about the assistant superintendent position. Do I have a motion for that?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to table the cyber agreement number 4 under administration and the assistant superintendent slash academic officers.
Okay, so there you got two. Job description.
Need a second.
All right, so now we're open for,
Did you get a second? Second and a vote?
I'm the one who.
Oh, you made the motion.
Motion,
So
you're the second,
we need a
yes.
vote,
Yes, then we need a vote on that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so you made the motion, Mr. Erico, second.
Second, that's right.
Okay. All right, this is to table those two things that Mr. Shi just mentioned. Dr. Chen?
Yes.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Brescher?
Yes.
Mrs. Peng?
Wait,
Is it-
wait, what are we voting on?
We're voting to table the item number 4, the cyber agreement,
Okay.
and also the two job descriptions.
Got it.
Yeah.
Oh, yes,
Mrs. Maroney?
that was me, yes.
Oh, okay. Mrs. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Erico?
Yes.
Mr. Shi?
Yes.
Did I
Oh,
just
yes.
say yes to?
All right, so now we're, any board members have any comments on any of this before I open up for public comments?
That's out?
Yeah, on the resolutions, yes. Okay, see none, I'm gonna open that up for, public comments on the resolutions only. Anyone? Yes.
Andrew Heibel, Howard Avenue, Edison. Let's discuss the school calendar. I noticed on the calendar, October 28th is listed as Diwali, but Diwali is actually the 27th, and some other people in the country celebrate it actually on the 26th. So we're not closing school on any other days, like for Lunar New Year or for Eid when it's not on the day. So I was just wondering why we're closing it on the Monday after when that's not the holiday.
We did get quite some requests from the community because it's a multi-day event, and we just have the luxury have 3 snow days if we're able to accommodate, and that's why it is there. Just because this year some of the holidays fall on a weekend, so we have the luxury of some extra days. That's why it's there.
And then I'm also concerned a bit about having school on Election Day, even though it's a half day. We did have some problems in the past before any of you guys were board members or administrators. We did used to have school on Election Day, and there was some issues with students, and that's why the township decided to close. I don't think we should be jeopardizing school safety for opening school even if it's a half day. And on the beginning of September, you have 2 in-service days. As long as I've worked here and went to school here, we only had 1. So if you went to only 1 in-service day in September, you could close school on November 5th and not lose a day and still have 3 snow days. And then I don't know if you can do that or not, or consider that. Okay. And then next, on the next page, I see you have a resolution to reappoint the lawyer. I'm just was a little disappointed. I was hoping maybe you can go out and find somebody else. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Hi, good evening. I'm Kalpana Patel, and I'm working as an ESL bilingual teacher in James Madison Primary School. The gentleman,
Address, please.
James Madison Primary School.
Address, home address.
10 Bergen Place, Edison. The gentleman talked about Diwali. I have the calendar here. Diwali is, yes, on 27th, but our New Year is on 28th. So I have the calendar if you want to see that. So, and it's okay that we get day off on 28th for Diwali Day. And when I saw the calendar, I said, oh my gosh, it's very good that we got the day off on New Year's Day. So thank you very much for considering this.
That's the reason why it's there. That's from the community. Any other comments from the public on resolutions? So, this is actually, this is my question for the folks here that Andy brought up. Is there any way we can squeeze a day on September 3rd and, and 4th? Jeff? Give you some creative ideas.
Are we having open negotiations in public now? Jeff Bowden, 2 Ethel Road. Everything is possible. It's just a matter of sitting down and working out those things. And I would suggest that over the next month, September's not here immediately, so anything can be amended based on anything we talk about, and that's what would be my suggestion at this time.
Okay. All right. So what do we want to do? Want to table this to discuss it, or we want to
Pass it, can always amend it.
or amend it? Pass it, amend it.
I'd like to make a motion to table it so you or the committee, whatever committee, can have a conversation with the bargaining units to see what works best.
Just say whatever you say.
Beth, a second.
Yeah.
You say yes.
Okay, so then we have Ralph make the motion of table the calendar, and Beth second that.
Calendar's the prerogative of the board. It's not subject.
Okay, this is to table the calendar.
If you pass it, we can amend it.
Dr. Chen?
Yes.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Brescher?
Yes.
Mrs. Peng?
Yes.
Ms. Maroney?
Yes.
Mrs. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Derico?
Yes.
Mr. Shi?
Yes.
Well, yes.
So again, the calendar is tabled as well. All right. So any other comments on resolutions? See none, so let's move on. So for the personnel, I always want to do that separately. So personnel report, we all know that's, we're gonna put a vote on that, and minus the 2 job description. Can I have a motion on that? Okay, Mr. Erico, second. Okay, Dr. Chen.
Dr. Chen?
Yes.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Brescher?
Yes.
Mrs. Peng?
Yes.
Mrs. Maroney?
No on the attorney, yes on everything else.
This is for the, okay, gotcha. Well, the attorney's under administration, we're under personnel right now,
Okay.
okay?
Okay.
All right, Mrs. Ward?
Yes.
Ms. Derico?
Yes.
Mr. Shi?
Yes.
So carried.
All right, so move on. We'll put the administration here, which is the school calendar is off. So the appointment of board attorney, appointment of SSP architect, the youth art month, grouping procedures, summer school, babes program, revision to the high school a program of studies, field trip approval, PD, the pupil services out of district placement, professional services for the 2018-2019 school year, and the finance solutions. So everything else, on the calendar. Can I have a motion on that? Okay, Mrs. Maroney, do I have a second? Second, okay, Mr. Erico.
Okay, Dr. Chen?
Yes.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Brescher?
Yes.
Mrs. Peng?
Yes.
Mrs. Maroney?
No on the attorney, yes on everything else.
Mrs. Ward?
Yes.
Ms. Derico?
Yes.
Mr. Shi?
Yes.
So carried.
All right, so upcoming meeting minutes. Where is it? I don't like this thing. Let's see, upcoming minutes. Upcoming meetings. No. All right, let's do the, just swap it a little bit. Let me find my stuff. Let's do the committee reports first. Curriculum and technology, Mrs. Pan.
Okay, so Curriculum Technology Committee had a meeting on February 8th, 2019 at the Ed Center from 12 to 1. Present at the meeting are Shannon Peng, Elizabeth Conway, Dr. Chen, Ms. Faguni Patel, Deborah Gulick, Bernita Mahinder, and Laurie Mayer. At the beginning of the meeting, the committee reviewed the questions and concerns and the possible solution to offer the biology to all grades 9 students. And finally, and I think the science teacher and the students would be happy to know that a 6-credit biology course would be offered to all, including honor and level 1 and level 2 grade 9 students in the 1920 school year. Then the committee went over all the grouping procedures. So to replace the iReady test that was no longer used, the 5th, 6th, and 7th grade students will be taking a readiness assessment in March through an online platform. Each assessment is aligned to the grade level standards. The 8th graders are going to be taking the PSAT A9, and the results are used for placement at grade 9 only. Lastly, we discussed the textbook budget. Ms. Mahebe and Ms. Gulick reviewed the request for all new textbooks for students at all grade levels in all subject areas. They recommended immediate priorities for the 1920 school year and outlined a plan for the upcoming text during the next 5 years. As this is a fairly large budget increase, the committee are still in review of each item proposed. We need to make sure the new textbook worth the taxpayers' dollars, as well as maintain the same and if not higher curriculum standards. The meeting adjourned at 1 p.m.
Okay, next up, Finance Facility meeting, Mr. Brescher.
We had a Finance and Facilities meeting on 2/5/19 at 4:30 p.m. at the Ed Center. In attendance was Jerry Shee, Teresa Ward, Richard Brescher, Yuna Chen, Paul Saxton, Dan Michaud, Rich Pepe, Ken Taylor, Chris Conklin, Deborah Gulick, Beninda Mary Beer, and Patrick Hussain. Chris Gutenheim of Land Architects provided a drawing for the property between J.P. Stevens High School and John Adams High School. The drawing illustrated the determination of the Department of Environmental Protection with regards to wetlands. The discussion centered around if and where the district could build on this property. The options were pretty limited. Number 2, Peter Camposano and Andrew Adamato of USA Architects discussed the modular classroom projects that have been approved for the FDR school. The 10-room modular addition will house a growing preschool student population. USA Architects stated that barring any state agency delays, these classrooms will be ready for September 2019 opening of the school year. Mr. Conklin, Ms. Gulick, and Ms. Maibir presented their 2019-2020 staffing request and gave the committee the rationale for the new staff members. Ms. Gulick and Ms. Maibir also presented their 2020 anticipated textbook needs. Mr. Michaud told the committee that the roof replacement bids for the section of Martin Luther King, Washington, Woodbrook, and Edison High School is due on March 5th, 2019. The committee inquired about a spray-on roofing material that is less costly that could be considered for some of the roofs. 5, the committee discussed the district's subscription busing plan, in which the district provides non-mandated transportation to students for a fee of $500 per student. The board policy states that this program must be self-sustaining, and currently the fee is not covering the costs. Therefore, the committee is recommending that the annual fee be raised to $650 a student for 2019-2020, which would cover the program cost. Mr. Hussain discussed the district's proposed SLEO 3 security agreement that we are attempting to arrange with the township. The committee discussed the pros and cons of the agreement. Number 7, Mr. Taylor presented a list of capital building projects for consideration in the 2019-2020 budget. His list was prioritized based on critical need of each product. The committee will review the list of projects and recommend which projects should be funded in 2019-2020. 8, the committee discussed 2019-2020 budget preparation and questions the accounts that will generate the largest increases, such as salary increases, transportation, special education, new staffing needs, and textbooks. The district is still waiting on the governor's State of the State address on March 5th, 2019. The district is due to receive their state aid figures by March 7th, 2019, and the meeting was adjourned at 8:27 p.m.
Thank you. Next up, Food Service Committee, Mrs. Conway.
We had a food service committee meeting on Wednesday, February 13th at 1 o'clock. In attendance was Mr. Brescher, Ms. Pang, Ms. Chen, Mr. Saxton, Ms. Gulick, Dan Mashad, and we also had representatives from Chartwell's, Jean Santos, Patricia Allegretto, and Felicia Tarantino. Yes. You can't hear me? I can hear me. Oh, sorry. Okay. Mr. Saxton started that he requested Chartwell's to conduct a survey of students and staff regarding the current lunch program, including questions about the operation and food quality. The survey will include students from grades 3 through 12. You can hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. The committee discussed the current facilities issues at the elementary schools, of which many are at a satellite program where the food is prepared and cooked at J.P. Stevens High School and trucked over to the elementary schools, whereas it's reheated and served. The district has received notice from the Edison Fire Department that the students should not be served their lunches in the school's hallways due to egress blockages. Currently, there are 5 elementary schools that need to be addressed, 3 of which the district has plans to correct by this summer. The remaining 2 are being evaluated for possible modifications. The committee also discussed the differences between the current cost reimbursement contract versus the fixed price contract, and the committee will discuss further at a later date. There is a scheduled date for March 20th, as far as I know. And the meeting adjourned at just after 2 o'clock.
Thank you. Next up, Personnel Committee, Mrs. Pan.
Oh. Yeah, the Personnel Committee meets at February 21st at 4:30 p.m. at the Ed Center. In attendance is Shannon Penn, Jerry Shi, Mr. Brescher, Faguni Patel, Mr. Paul Sexton, Dan Michelle.
Not Brescher.
Oh, Dan Brescher was not there, right?
No, it's Mr. Erico instead of Mr. Brescher.
Oh, okay, Mr. Erico. And Mr. Pepe, Margaret Contaldi, Deborah Golick, and Ramon Rivera. The committee reviewed the various job description revisions and recommend them to brought forward for board approval. Mr. Saxon discussed the board members' role in the interview and hiring process. The committee also reviewed 2 proposed sidebar agreements, one for the ETEA for the strength training coach and for the fitness center coach. The second is for the ETTA, proposing a stipend for drivers if they're able to find capable driver candidates. Mr. Saxon recommended that the titles of chief academic officers for elementary and secondary educations be changed to assistant superintendent for elementary and secondary educations. The meeting adjourned at about 5:40 p.m.
Okay, thank you. So next up, board member comments. Sorry, the upcoming meetings. The next caucus meeting is Wednesday, March 20th at the 7 o'clock in S Center. And the public meeting will be March 25th at J.P. Stevens at 7 o'clock. So now we're open for board member, open discussions. Any board members? Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. This coming Friday, March 1st, at Edison High School here, there will be a live auction of any items you care to bring or someone else brings. The items should be like new or gently used. 100% of the cash sales go to St. Baldrick's Foundation to conquer kids' cancer. Doors open at 4:30 p.m. and calling begins at 5. It sounds like a wonderful way to rid yourself of a few unwanted household items, have a fun evening, and help a charity. You can bring up to 3 items that you can carry, and we encourage you to bring the children. It's children friendly. It's a learning experience if they have never been to an auction. Snacks and water will be available, and you may want to bring your supper. Admission is $2. For more information, call 732-650-5223. I'll repeat the number, 732-650-5223. And it might be a fun family evening. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sheehy.
All right, any other board members? Yes.
First, I'd like to say congratulations to Ben Franklin and the 3rd grade students and staff for another outstanding Community of Dreams program, extolling the achievements of Martin Luther King Jr. Mr. Preville, as always, is doing a wonderful job on getting his staff to give the utmost. And thank you to ETEA for their continued generous support of this incredible event. Read Across America Day starts tomorrow for about a month. I think I'm scheduled to be in 9 schools, so I start tomorrow morning, and God knows when it ends. But it's always very exciting. It's one of our favorite events of the year, and you will see a lot of dignitaries from the town and board members and former teachers and nurses, et cetera, all running into elementary schools to read to the children. It is a great event. A special congratulations to the Edison High School Literary Magazine advisor and staff of the magazine is called Echoes, for being given a superior rating by the National Council of Teachers of English. I can tell you as a former English teacher, this is a very big deal. So congratulations to them. Continued wingman training with great enthusiasm. We've trained Lincoln and Mr. Scully and Mr. Slusser, the head guidance counselor there, has been terrific. Alana Capriglione and Victoria Ruan are the 2 teacher champions there. We've been to MLK, and all we have left to do is, and it's going to happen next week, Menlo Park, and we're going into, I'm blanking out. All the ones that haven't been done are going to be done by next week. My head is spinning. To Joey Johnson, and I know he's going to address you, he's gotten that fabulous Lena Harris Foundation mentorship program on its way. He sent marvelous pictures of their incredible trip to Monmouth University, and I'm sure Joey's going to tell you about that himself. Congratulations, Joe, to you and your incredible staff of young people who are coming in to mentor our students. It's just amazing. Esther Barkin of the Sense, she is the advisor to the Sense organization, which stands for Environmental Fun Fair, is being sponsored by Sense and the Garden State Sense. They are having an event on Saturday, March 23rd at the North Edison Public Library from 10:30 to 12:30. It's called Environmental Fun Fair. And they are going to do all kinds of activities that are good for elementary and middle school children. So Ms. Barkin asked me to mention that here at the Board of Ed meeting. And of course, you know, this is a theme that I have been working with Meher Bhatia, the student from J.P. Stevens, who's been busy getting our students to be more environmentally aware, and we're having great success with the plans that we've been making. And I just wanted to mention that I was in Hawaii for the last 2 weeks, And Hawaii is the first state in the nation to go completely green. And because of my awareness now of, things that are sustainable and not sustainable, of whether we're using, biodegradable plastic cups or paper cups, that kind of thing, it was remarkable to see a state, especially one as beautiful as Hawaii, that has gone completely green. So, for example, when we went into a store where we got a soda, yes, we had paper straws, but the paper straws are made like a thick cardboard, so they don't collapse when you suck on them. Because I've heard a lot of people complaining, oh, we're gonna have paper straws. These were really, really great. And so it was very exciting to see what a state can accomplish by everybody, one person at a time, working together to keep the environment beautiful. And we should be striving just as hard in New Jersey. And that is a lesson why, this event that they're having at the library is so good, to teach our children at a young age to be environmentally aware and save our planet.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, Mrs. Conway.
I wish I went first. Sorry, Beth. I have three things I wanted to talk about. Number one was the Lena Harris Mentorship Foundation. I went to their opening day and I was astounded at the program. Joe, I am so proud of you. I'm probably just as proud of you as your parents are. Keep it up the good work, and I'm sure it will expand as much as we can push you. At this point, you had to push us initially, but now we'll be pushing you further. So I just want to say again how proud I am of you. The other thing is Read Across America. One of the best reasons to be on the Board of Ed is to be invited to so many schools to read to the children. And I'm so excited. My first reading will be Friday, and then I'll be starting for a couple of weeks reading to the different schools, so I'm excited. And last, on February 13th, Mrs. Badowski and I went to the J.P. Stevens winter concert. When my children went through school, I was so busy with soccer, basketball, baseball, and all of the above, so I was never into fitting in, going to the different concerts. But I've been exposed to them now, and it is beyond phenomenal, the presentations that I'm seeing. So if keep watch, there's a spring one coming up, I don't remember the date. Take advantage of the wonderful things that they put out for the district. It's absolutely fabulous, and I thank all of them.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Yes.
A couple quick things, not to make Joey's head any bigger, but I did attend the first session. It was really well organized. They had a great speaker from Rutgers University. Hopefully he's drafted in the first round, but we'll see. Hopefully he makes it big someday and comes back and remembers Edison and Joey. So thank you, Joe, for inviting us there, and it was a fabulous day. Also, I'd like to send out a congratulations to the J.P. Stevens High School and Edison High School girls basketball programs. Both made it to the semifinals. Unfortunately, they competed against each other. Edison High School moved on to the finals and unfortunately lost in the finals, but they both had great seasons. And if you hear the cheering in the background, that's Edison High School playing in a state game right now. So good luck to them in the States. Thank you, Mr. Shi.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? All right, I want to give a shout to the J.P. Stevens Choir. They had a performance last weekend, Friday and Saturday, at the Sing and Joy Princeton competition. The chamber choir earned a rating of Gold 4 and a category winner of Mixed Choir. A cappella choir earned a rating of Gold 2 and a category of winner of Youth Choirs. And also, on top of that, the choir conductor, Mr. Lee, he won the Conductor's Award. So Mr. Lee, as some of you know, he is our Edison product. And he, all these years, attended our public school, and I'm so glad to see that he's doing well, and also our choir is doing very well under his leadership. So congratulations to the J.P. Stevens Choir. Okay. Now, we're open for public comments. So, anybody, public comments? Okay, all right, yes.
Anthony Deamron, 15 Rodak Circle. Over the last couple months, some of us have been making the case that the mayor should have been more involved, hands-on, with the overcrowding issue. And that wasn't to rule over you. It was to work side by side with you guys. Because contrary to what some sitting council members may believe, it's much bigger than a Board of Ed issue. It's a town-wide issue. And there's a lot of moving parts. So you need to all work together. So I was encouraged to see the mayor include that in his speech. I was actually told that he actually included it early on, so I guess it was pretty important. My recommendation would be to you have his attention, and don't lose it. Keep him focused, because I know he's got his mind set on some other projects, and nothing really should be done until we take care of this issue with overcrowded schools, whether that is we build a school, add-ons, whatever it may be. The one other concern that I have is the town is looking to privatize the water company. Now, I think the concern is that I don't know if this board is going to be challenging the mayor or the administration regarding rumors and lawsuits that they have lead in their water. Now, that's a major safety concern in the schools. So I don't know if the board is working, if you're working side by side with the mayor or not. If there's any details you want to share, that'd be terrific. Thank you very much.
So, yeah, Mr. Erica, you want to say a couple words about overcrowding?
Yeah, sure. In regards to the overcrowding committee that we formed over the last 8 months or so, we have some reports from our company. We are going to have a presentation on exactly, I don't want to show all the papers, but here's all the reports here. So all board members now have an open report. We're going to discuss it. We are moving forward with some of the projects. Tonight, I think we approved the architect to add 10 new classrooms to Woodrow Wilson Middle School. So we are moving forward, and we want to move quickly as possible. These 10 new classrooms at Woodrow and FDR, if everything goes right, will be ready for September. So, and then we have a lot of other plans in here. We are working with the council, we are working with the mayor, we are working with all of the groups here, so we are doing that. As far as the water company, just to let you know, I believe the district every year has to test the water per state regulations for lead. So if there's any sign of lead in the water, I know in South Plainfield where I work, we had some issues. We had to close down water fountains, tape them off, bag them, the whole bit. So we are on top of the water also.
So we do test the water every 5 years. Yeah. So the state say you can do it 6 years, but we amended, we changed, so we do it more frequent. Now, every 5 years, we tested it before recently. So if it's needed, we can do it, more frequent than that. But right now, it's set to every 5 years, just wait. And the working with township, I have a meeting set up with the mayor this Friday, so I'm gonna sit down with him to talk about whatever he wants to talk with us. So, all right, anybody else? Yes.
Judy McQuillan, 2 Ethel Road. I am a teacher in the district, and I also am the chairperson of the Health Benefits Committee for the ETEA. And I'm here tonight because I want to talk about accountability. As a teacher, I am held accountable to hold very high standards. I am evaluated by my administrators and my supervisors. I have to write lesson plans that meet stringent requirements. I need to make sure that I meet the needs of all of my students. I have SGOs. I need to prove that my students do, in fact, learn and grow each year. I have PDPs, professional development, and I need to meet certain criteria for the state and for the board, for Edison, at least 20 hours a year of professional development. If my supervisors and administrators do not think I am performing to the higher standards while they're monitoring me, I might be put on an action plan. And then I have to meet certain requirements so that I can continue to teach. I would like for the board to hold Cigna accountable. The same way our staff members are held accountable, I think we need to hold Cigna accountable. Now today, I spent my lunch reviewing the original meeting from 5/24/18, where Mr. Shea, you stated, if Cigna failed to meet performance standards of service, they would be fined $330,000. Now, we have been working with Cigna for 7 months, and I do not believe, based on the 1,500 people that I work with, we are upholding the service standards for Cigna. Have we, I don't believe that, to my knowledge, we have fined Cigna the $330,000. Also, at that meeting, Jerry, you said that we were going to have quarterly reports monitoring Cigna for performance. I don't know if that's being done, if they're meeting. I don't believe they're meeting the requirements. And then we were told that Cigna would also have to pay money if they don't uphold those certain criteria. Cigna, it was also said at that meeting that Cigna put in writing the equal to or better than clause. It was guaranteed. And I would not be standing here if, in fact, Cigna was equal to and better than Horizon. Then, Mr. Shea, you asked for the professional to come up, and Mr. George Clark got up to speak. He talked about performance guarantees, quarterly reports, claims, accuracy, timely payments, account manager teams supporting the district. And what I really found fascinating, which I didn't realize from the other, I've watched this video many, many times, and each time I watch it, I get another little glimpse. But Mr. George Clark, who is from Cigna, stated at that meeting, 94 to 95% of first-time callers to Cigna customer service would be resolved. Again, I would not be standing here if that was the case, okay? So I am just asking you, as we are held accountable as educators in this district, that you hold Cigna accountable for the services that we are trying desperately to receive. Thank you for your time.
And if you remember, at a couple of meetings ago, we also said, if Cigna is not delivering, they're out. Okay, so the contract is to the end of the year. Okay, so the next contract starts July 1st. So we're working with them, give them the opportunity to try to mitigate some of the issues. And again, I stand by what I said. If they don't deliver, they're out. Okay, as far as this $300,000, that's not a fine. That's the performance quote guarantee. We can talk to them on that. Okay? Yes.
Matt Revnak, First Vice President ETA, 2 Ethel Road. Actually, first thing I want to make is just a point of record. On page 6 of the personnel report, and I apologize I didn't bring it up before, but we got the reports as we walked in the door, basically. Jordan Bayer is listed as a special education teacher. He's actually a math teacher. So that's just a correction there. He was a special ed teacher until this year. Okay?
Say it again.
Jordan Bayer, he's second on page 6 of the personnel. He's listed special education teacher. He's actually a math teacher. He was special ed until this year. He became a full math teacher. Yeah, just a point of record. Second thing I just want to mention, and that goes to the curriculum. Last meeting, you had a teacher and myself spoke about the science lab curriculum for the biology, and I'm happy to see that the board reconsidered and the labs will go on. It's nice to see that, you know, teachers that advocated for what's best for their students and the board and the curriculum committee did listen and take that in consideration. So I am very happy that, you know, that was done. I'm sure the teachers in the science department from both high schools are ecstatic about that. And most importantly for our students, because they did feel that the students would not get what is really necessary with the labs. Third thing, just to jump on Mr. Errico's statement before about the J.P. Stevens Edison girls teams. Yeah, it's unfortunate that we had to play each other in the semifinals, and congratulations to Edison for upending J.P. Stevens. It's just a shame too that when you go up against a Catholic school like Bishop Barr that brings players in from all over the place, although I understand a few of the players are actually Edison kids, that if they had gone to J.P. Stevens and Edison High School, you know, most likely we would have been 1 and 2 in the county. But as you said, not only for the girls, but also for all the sports teams, you know, good luck in the state tournaments. And finally, I just want to jump on Judy's statements before. Cigna is not making much improvement. I personally, and I have a letter with me, when I got home from a conference on Saturday afternoon, that my wife was denied something out of medical necessity, lack of medical necessity. Now, I've talked to some others in the district already that have had the same thing done, and they're approved for it. And based on this lack of medical necessity, her doctor has put her on some things to remedy the situation. So where it's the lack of medical necessity, I sure as hell don't know. When a doctor is going to make adjustments based off of the findings of a test that Cigna is denying. And I know there's other people that are in the crowd today. One specifically comes out who I know her husband was on a medicine that Cigna paid from July through December and then cut the person off in December. That's unacceptable. These people are playing God with our health. And you know what? It's 7 months in, and we're tired of it. Something has to be done. There's recurring issues that are coming up, and there's new issues that are coming up, in addition to some of the other things that haven't been resolved. So I really would ask the board to really take a serious look. Really, to be honest with you, if I'm you, for not only the $330,000, I'm looking for another carrier right now, putting it out to bid and finding who you're going to go to. You know, it's frustrating, and even when some of these things have been resolved, and I know, again, Judy's been working with it, Jeff, myself, I know Andy for the custodians, etc., it's taken people hours upon hours in some cases, multiple phone calls, sometimes days, weeks, and months to get these things. Yeah, maybe they get remedied 3 months after the fact. So that means that's 3 months you're going without having that procedure, that prescription, etc., that you need. What does somebody have to do? Die before this is corrected? Because that's what's happening here. Health is a serious issue, and I know we've spoken about this before. We addressed it when we met in behind closed doors, when we presented our grievance. But it's really unacceptable now. This is almost over a month since we met over the grievance, etc. By the way, I'm hoping to get a response to the grievance shortly because we're getting close to the timeline on it. Thank you.
I'd like to respond. I don't ever recall when we had Horizon, ever, from day one, having the kind of issues that we've had this year. And I was vehemently opposed to the change in the insurance last year. Every time one of you gets up to speak, it just twists my gut, because I knew this was going to be a problem. You cannot save the amount of money that this board supposedly saved and not have a reduction of services. It's impossible. And so I agree, I would like to see the board go back and look at the insurance and start right now looking for another carrier.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Brescher.
I'd like to ask, I guess, a board member and superintendent a question. Aetna. I believe you guys might have Aetna. Are they as horrible as Cigna? So we have people in the audience that have Cigna and Aetna? Retires have Aetna. And how is Aetna? Oh, I just asked because when we sat in the meeting, Beth, you told me that it was good, and Paul told me that it was good.
I'm sorry. We had only just gone to it. What I said was good was the way the NJEA kept us informed with the materials. But, and we've only had it now for 2 months, but so far I'm not overwhelmed by them either. I also had, you know, Blue Cross as a retired teacher, and I never had a problem with them. You get what you pay for.
Okay. Any other topics?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Chen and I spent the weekend at orientation for new board members, and in one of the small groups, health insurance came up. And so I was actually intrigued by the discussion that took place because I don't know who yelled louder, the districts that had Aetna or the districts that had Cigna. But then the one board member turned around and said, yes, but wait till you go back to Horizon because they know you're not happy with what you had, and they're not going to be as generous as they have been in the past. That's what they're experiencing. So this is going to be a rough going, but we can't have this. I'm sorry, we can't have this.
Yeah. If I do remember, Horizon did not even bid on this last contract. It was just Aetna and Cigna.
They did give us $1 million reduction after we said we're going to go out to somebody else.
Oh, after the fact? Yes. Okay.
I am Eric McMahon. I'm a teacher at Thomas Jefferson. I haven't had the problems with Cigna that everybody else has, getting claims and getting customer service and stuff like that. I've had another issue with Cigna, and I go to a specialist in New York for a urologist. It's $475 a visit. He doesn't touch Cigna. So out of the pocket, it's boom, out of network. Normal eye exam behind Lens Crafters, where I've been going for years, not covered by Cigna. Out of the pocket, $175. Chronic elbow issues, I've had surgery twice. I go to that doctor for follow-up. He doesn't take Cigna. So chiropractor, $150, boom, won't take Cigna. Dentist, for 20 years, out of network. Had a double ear infection on January 21st, just got a neat little email from Cigna letting them know that that wasn't covered, that I owe $300. So also Horizon gave $20 a month for gym memberships. That doesn't happen. So I'm paying an additional $400 in coverage, $240 at the gym. I'm out $1,100 out of my pocket because doctors just don't want to deal with Cigna. And everything I mentioned before was 100% covered by Horizon. Now, in summary, this was promised to be as better or equal coverage. For me, I'm almost $1,700. My elbow is killing me, and I'm up 3 times a night peeing. So can you please do something about Cigna? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes.
Andrew Heibel, Howard Abbott Edison. Besides Cigna, and we all know the problems, I think the other problem is you're a broker, Alamo. When you email Alamo, and I deal with, and myself and Judy, we deal with Raquel a lot. When we had a problem with LabCorp, they were mandating credit cards and mandating a copay. When you said we don't have to give a copay or give a credit card like we didn't in the past, they put down refused. We all have copies of bills from them. When I emailed Raquel about it, she goes, rest assured, Cigna doesn't charge you. I gave her a photocopy of the bill. Oh, that's not a bill. When I went there the other day, there was a bill, and it said, LabCorp said, refusal of paying the copay. They do the blood work, but a majority of people don't know you don't have to pay the copay. So you're paying your copay to LabCorp. Cigna is taking that money, and if you take the copay times how many people here go to LabCorp, Cigna's making out. Cigna's a for-profit company. They only have 1% of coverage in this state, and that's a reason. There's a reason behind it. Okay, so I think Alamo needs to go. Cigna needs to go. And all you gotta do is get out your phones, Google Alamo, Google Roselle, and you'll see why Alamo was a problem there. And if you get rid of Alamo, you can have a better situation here, and even if Cigna's gone. And on another note, you finally got the books in 7 months later. Did anybody on the board's end review the books? I got a copy of the books as a union representative. I read them. It's not my job to say what's wrong in the books. There was a big rush to get the books in, but nobody reviewed them. Who knows if they're right or wrong? We all know Cigna is a horrible company, so we don't know what they put in the print in the books. We have all the other books. So they're just not doing anything. Now they're coming out to the schools. We got an email that they're going to be coming out to the schools to meet with all the employees. When do they meet with the employees? From 11 to 2 during the day. People are working. How are they going to meet with the people during the day? I mean, your company's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. The only reason they're coming out to the schools is time to renew. So it's time to renew, so Cigna's stepping up. If they weren't stepping up, where were they for 7 months? They got to go, and your brokers got to go as well. Thank you.
So what's the suggested time? I have asked, what is the suggested time for them to come in? So give me a suggested time.
They need to be there after school. They need to be there all day. Cigna needs to bend over backwards to help the employees in this district.
But you're saying that during the school hours, nobody is going to see
So you want all the teachers to leave class and leave the kids with nobody in it to go talk to Cigna? I mean, what do you want? They need to be there in the afternoon.
So you want them to come in the afternoon? I thought
they need to be there more than one time. They're coming to school. They're coming to the preschool on a half day.
Well, that's what they asked us what is the best time for them to come in. We have not provided them right now. As when I looked at the recent email, is 12 to 2 because they try to cover some lunch hours, some the prep period for the staff to go meet them. If you say 11 to 2 is not, tell me a time. Can you tell me a time? Okay, so we can tell them to come in.
7 in the morning to 7 at night. They need to be in every school every day to bend over backwards for the employees. No, yeah, I know it's not conducive for them because they're for a profit company.
No.
Yeah, it is. They're a horrible company.
Let's be reasonable, Andy. 7 o'clock to 7 o'clock in the evening.
They're a company that you're paying for. They need to do whatever you need to do to make it work here. You're paying them a lot of money, you're paying your broker a lot of money, and all you hear from your broker is, rest assured, Cigna doesn't do that. Who does the broker work for? Do they work for Cigna or work for you guys?
The broker works for us. If you have your bill, send that to me, I'll take care of it.
Yeah. We all got bills all the time. Everybody gets bills.
And if they tell you to put a credit card, do not give them credit card.
Turn around and ask everybody here.
I am put out a public notice here. So if you go to LabCall, if they tell you to take your credit card, do not give your credit card to them. If they bill you, send the bill to me. I'll have the people taking care of it for you.
Most people don't want to get up here and fight. Myself and Trudy, we're fighting for everybody because people don't know about it. This Cigna has cost people more out of pocket than we paid with Horizon. And I hope if you're going to look, like Ms. Maroney said, start looking now. Don't wait till May 24th and switch at the last minute like it was a disaster last time. If you're going to switch to, and I understand there was and let's talk about the facts. Horizon wasn't the problem last year. It was Benecard. Correct? I believe Benecard was the problem. They were going to lock you in for a certain amount of years if you didn't switch. So you had to get rid of Horizon. I know they weren't the problem. Talk to Horizon. Find somebody else to do your prescriptions. But Cigna's got to go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Susan Campione, 2 Ethel Road in Edison. Just so that you know, it happened to me at LabCorp, and I knew from being involved not to give them a credit card. I had to sign a piece of paper that I understood that I was responsible for the $15 copay. So not giving them the credit card didn't stop them from making me sign a piece of paper. And as a head building rep, I can tell you.
When did that happen? When did that? As far as you know, I had an email recently that there's a glitch in the system between LabCorp and Cigna. Okay, it has been corrected by now. All right, so if it's still that's the same problem, let me know and let Mr. Brescher know. So we're gonna deal with it.
Okay, and just so that you know, as a head building rep, I had 3 people in my building come to me today things that were covered all along, even up until November, for either certain types of doctors or medications. All of a sudden, then Cigna comes back and tells them it's not covered anymore, and you owe all this money to, people are not able to go to doctors that they need to go to because they can't afford it. There's people in the district with children who need services that have been paying for all of these months. They have been writing letters to everybody and their brother, calling. They call the reps at Alamo. Nobody gets back to them. I don't even know what to tell these people anymore. It's ongoing problems. It's not corrected. It's every single day we are told by someone else something else that what is not covered that always was paid for. So these problems are not going away. They just keep happening every single day.
Do we have a list of all these issues like we had before?
I mean, it's daily. You need a running record.
Yeah.
Jerry, can I?
What was covered that wasn't covered before?
It's details.
Doctors, certain doctors that they went to. I know somebody came to me today. It was paid through November, and now the doctor says that they have several clients from Edison, but Cigna is telling them that they no longer cover it, and they have to pay, and they can't afford to go to the doctor. And there's medications, there's testing. You know, people have medical conditions that are ongoing, and all of a sudden to be cut off at the knees and not be able to get either your medicine or a service or a surgery, this is ridiculous. And we were promised that this would not happen, and it just goes on and on and on. And, you know, if we're in the building and we're reps, we hear it every day. I don't know what to tell them anymore. They follow the protocol, they don't get answers, and in the meantime, they're sick. And they need help. It's not right.
Can I just comment? I guess we all met. We had a meeting, I guess, in October, and then we met again a couple weeks ago. The board has heard, you know, all the issues that there are. And to put it in terms, I guess, that everybody here will understand is, at this point, I guess you could say, like, Cigna is on a corrective action plan. It's up to them to show us that they're going to succeed and get better. They've given us data that we've asked for. We just got data. The data, a lot of the data looks really good, but when you look at some of the data, you're going to understand where the problem is, and you're going to say, that's exactly what our problem is. And it's really in how they deliver their service to you. So we will be getting our loss run statements, and we're going to be going out to bid. I mean, we're going to go and see what's out there in the marketplace. That's something that we're definitely going to do. And it's not going to be like last year, because last year what we had was a disagreement, I guess, or a delay in trying to go out and price certain vendors. Being that we're ahead of the curve this year, if you noticed, I think last year it was like in May or something like that. It was like last minute that we were looking at it, and then the whole Benacard thing was a big problem, tying us together and stopped Horizon from coming and negotiating with us. At this point this year, we're going to start this in March, so we're ahead of that curve by the few months, and that's really what we need.
Okay. Any other comments? Yes.
Carol Bonamo, 2 Ethel Road. I teach at J.P. Stevens. Just keep in mind that we have a 22-minute lunch. Some of us teach 6 classes a day. We can't meet with those people during the day. It will be impossible. However, on another note, I'd just like to make the board aware that we have in Edison Township our New Jersey Foreign Language Teacher of the Year. She was chosen as the Teacher of the Year for New Jersey, and she happens to be in the audience tonight. It's Christine Keefe, who teaches at J.P. Stevens.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Nancy Tortage out of 28 Sims Road. I have chronic pain. I have numerous medical issues. I don't know if any of you experience that, but it's hell. I've had procedures done at Ambulatory Surgical Center on Progress Street, which are very, very helpful. My doctors all belong to Cigna. They all own the surgical center, but yet Cigna will not cover the surgical center. This paperwork shows that Blue Cross covered it 100% in the past. So I went to JFK, decided to have, okay, let me have a procedure done there. JFK sent me home because they said I had had a heart attack. Went to my cardiologist and he said, no. So I go back, he goes back to JFK, oh sorry, your EKG machine was faulty. Are you kidding me? Now this is the only place I can go with Cigna to have these procedures. I've turned down 3. I have emailed Willie at Alamo. He said, I'll get back to you, give me a little bit of time. Well, this is the 3rd email I sent him. And I also sent a copy of that to Ralph the other day. I emailed Willie again and I said, what's going on? Nothing. So I'm sitting here, I'm on medication, which I don't want to have to be on the medication if I can have procedures done so that I can get some relief. But I'm getting nothing. With Blue Cross, I never had an issue. In the beginning with Cigna, I went to the cardiologist. I've been going since I'm a child. Had an echo done. Next day I was denied. Not medically necessary. Are you kidding me? I call Cigna, oh sorry, we made a mistake. Well, you made a mistake? I had another procedure done. Oh, we're not gonna, not medically necessary. Again, I emailed, oh, we made another mistake. We can't keep making these mistakes. Somebody is seriously gonna get hurt here or die. They really are. It's very scary. My doctor took it upon himself when I was in his office to get that paperwork sent to me because he's having the same issues with Cigna with other people. It's not good. It's just not good. And I'm really afraid not only for me, but for everybody else that works in this district that has this insurance. And I went to my desk. I work in the guidance office. I actually had that on my desk because Cigna's coming tomorrow. So I'll just print out another piece and give it to them, but I wanted to make sure that you saw that because you were asking for things when you were here.
Yes.
Okay?
So next time, if you can, just send to me, or Mr. Brescia.
But I'm not getting anywhere.
We're on this committee. We can work
I'm getting
with
nowhere. I was at my pain management doctor Friday. He said, you need to have this procedure done before it gets too far. It doesn't matter. I denied it. I said, I can't go to JFK. I won't go there again after what I experienced the last time. I don't know what I'm going to send to you. There's nothing to send to you. They tell me they're not going to cover it at the surgical center. I'm going to say no.
What we got was we got emails that, just like you just spoke about this, what we've gotten emails that just stated just basically what you did.
Right. This guy's name is Willie, whoever Willie is that I've been emailing.
Yes. And then what happens is when it comes to us and we send it through, we just kind of monitor it till it gets resolved.
Right, but apparently this is not getting resolved. I've been dealing with this since we started with Cigna. So it's an issue. It's an issue. I have a deteriorating condition and I can't get it under control because I'm not covered where I need to go. And I won't go through that again at JFK Medical Center and have them send me home scared to death thinking I had a heart attack. So something has to be done somewhere. I just want to make sure, get my feelings out.
No, we want to hear that.
We know, yeah. Okay, anybody else?
Hi, Laura Matonis, 35 Frost Avenue West. I'm a school nurse here at Edison High. I just have a little concern about HIPAA and people emailing the board there. As a doctor, I think you would be a little concerned about people giving their personal information to the entire board of ed. I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's right. And as an employee here and a medical professional, I think you should consider that that's not really appropriate in this case. Just my opinion. Thank you.
So if you feel that certain information we shouldn't have, just wipe that out. And, I said just send to me and Mr. Brescher, because we are working with them more closely. And don't send to the entire board. We'll do whatever we can. And as we said, we had multiple meetings. Mr. Brescher said they're on the corrective plan. So, they have, probably, a couple more months to go. We'll see how they turn out. And again, I have, before the meeting ends, I like to know what is a good time for them to come in. All right?
Beth Talke, 15 Midwood Avenue. I do have some concerns about this insurance, and it's also every time you have anything done, whether a prescription filled, a doctor's appointment, lab appointment, you always have to be on the phone with them at least 3 or 4 times for a good 45 minutes each time before anything is even addressed. We're paying our premiums. A lot of employees here are paying a lot of money towards their premiums. We're paying for a service and we're not getting that service. You shouldn't have to go to the doctors and then be on the phone for like 2.5 hours to work it out with Cigna. We're paying for a service, we're not getting it. And it's not fair, even for stuff, a family member having to get a prescription that they've gotten for years. The doctor specifically puts that it has to be name brand. Then you're getting Cigna calling them back all of a sudden saying, no, we're not going to cover the name brand, but if you want to pay for the name brand, you can pay that co-pay for it, but then you're also going to pay the additional out-of-pocket as to what they would pay for it on top of it. That's unacceptable. And we shouldn't have to fight on the phone for hours for every single thing that we should be entitled to. And then, Mr. Brescher, I have a question for you. You said now that you can start going out and brokering for the insurance now, we can shop for it. But I do recall last year when this got thrown on us in May that we were getting this thing, that you said we had to wait so long to do it last minute like that because you couldn't go out for the bid until 30 days before because something with the premium prices. I do recall that from the meetings when we questioned it last year. So now how come all of a sudden we can go and start shopping now when last year you told us we had to wait?
Okay, you have to get your loss run statements from prior. And part of the problem we had, and when people say you get what you pay for, and a lot of times that's not always the truth. The truth is that someone holds a gun to your head, and that's what Horizon did to us. Horizon wouldn't give us our numbers that we are legally entitled to. We were getting close to suing Benacard and Horizon just to get the numbers, because that's a typical business decision, and that was their decision, was not to give us our numbers, so we can't price it out, so we're stuck with them. We should be getting our loss runs in March. We didn't get them from them. That was what the big problem was. And I just refused to have somebody hold a gun to my head. So if Cigna is going to give us these numbers, we're going to go out and price them. If Cigna is going to do the same thing, and they're going to not give us the numbers that we need, we'll take the same course of action with them, and it will come down to the wire again. But I believe they will. I believe they are giving us the equal to or better than on the item, but the service for what you have to go through to get it.
On what specific item? Because I think lab, certain doctors, prescriptions, we're not getting equal to or better than what we had with Blue Cross.
Right, certain doctors, they had to have a certain amount that they qualify for, whatever it is, 90-something% of the doctors are in there. So there are a percentage of doctors that aren't in there. Cigna has a report. We heard about some doctors tonight that aren't in there. I can tell you exactly how many of the doctors are not in there. And when you see how many there are, it really is a small percentage. Basically, the ones that the doctors aren't in there, we've heard from everybody on those doctors that aren't in there. And that's what I mean by when somebody talked about our $300,000 that you get back, Cigna breaks that $300,000 up into a performance type thing that's broken down into like 15 different categories. And a lot of the categories they have met their criteria on. It's on them. The biggest part, I guess, the problem is that normally you would go to the doctor, you went to your doctor, you gave him a copay, and that was it. You left and you never had to worry about anything. Now what you have is you're not getting the approvals, they're not paying the doctor, you're having to fight and call and try and get them to pay the doctor, and you're having to put all this time and effort in. So
which we shouldn't have to, because we're paying for a service and we're not receiving it.
Yes, you're correct. You're absolutely correct. It's like going to McDonald's and having to wait a half an hour for a hamburger. I definitely get it, and I agree with you on that. Cigna is trying to correct their actions, whether they come between 11 and 2 or 11 and 12 or 7 and 7. I can't tell you. We don't tell them what they had to do. They had to tell us what they felt they needed to. Whether it works or not, like I said, they're on a corrective action plan. Either it's corrected or it's not.
But what specifically are you looking for them to correct? Because honestly, I'm an employee here. This was the first tonight that I even heard that they're coming into the schools to meet with us. So what do they come to plan to fix for us in the short time that they're here? Are they just here to make their presence known? So like, look we care, but then, we're still not getting the service from them.
Well, okay, right.
What specifically are they coming to visit for? Like a kumbaya kind of,
No, they think that they're
to
actually
feel good? No, really.
They think they're actually going to solve and service your problem. I believe that they would be better off having people in a call center that you have 8 people and all they deal with is Edison, and they are just dedicated to us. To me, that would be the way. But I'm not making $800,000 a year and getting paid by Cigna. This is Cigna's job to correct their actions. If not, they'll lose.
And how long are we going to give them until until their contract's up, and then it didn't work out, but we're still paying them for services that we did not receive. So why should we be what I mean, paying them just to bite out the contract now until it's over, until we can find something better to do?
Okay, I don't want to tell you that it's similar to the contracts that you guys have, where you get a correction of action plan and all of that. It doesn't take, let's say if you have a teacher and it's a bad teacher, and you go through it all, it takes more than a year, right, to solve that problem. With Cigna, it's not going to take 2 years or 3 years. We're making the decision within 1 year. But you have to give them the opportunity to get better. You got to notify them that they have issues. We did that in October. We did it again in January, I believe it was, or just the beginning of February. And this is how they plan on taking care of it and fixing it. Do I actually believe it's going to work? No.
But did they specifically, even when they received our contract, I guess this would go to the attorney, were we given a timetable if there were issues with them, that they had a certain amount of time to do it? Or is it just, kind of, I don't know, it feels like they're just putting Band-Aids on the problem and there is no solution to it.
So in their contract, I believe there's a termination provision which would allow us to exit the contract if there's a material breach. At this point, we're giving Cigna an opportunity, as Mr. Brescher said, to correct their actions. They've agreed to come in at different times, which was referenced, and I believe that the union leadership was advised of those times. If those times aren't the optimal times for the employees, then as Mr. Shee said, we should be told when they should come in, which would make more sense.
And how much time is the board giving them to make these corrections? Cigna to make these corrections on their action plan? Are we just biding at the whole, year of the contract, or?
Cigna was told to make those changes as soon as possible.
But that's quite vague. That's all we've given them? We haven't given them a timeline, a specific timeline?
When did they say they're going to come in? They're going to start the early February, no?
Yeah, they're supposed to be coming in now. They're starting tomorrow?
There were some technical issues. They couldn't get in the building last week. That's my understanding. I don't know where the communication breakdown is, because they came into our building. Nobody told them that they were supposed to be there, so they can't get in. I'm glad our security is good, so they didn't get in. But that's what they try to do. We'll just give them the opportunity to address them. Again, I said multiple times. I'm going to say it again. I stand by my word. If they don't deliver that, Very simple.
Okay, I really hope that solutions are made to this problem. It is a big problem. Our insurance is a big deal to us and our health care, and I, really hope it gets resolved sooner than later. It just feels like it's being dragged out much longer than it needs to be. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Jeff.
Jeff Bowden, 2 Ethel Road. First of all, with the meetings for Cigna, they originally were scheduled 11 to 2. They've been adjusted now to 11 to 4. Unfortunately, the people behind me get to work starting 5:30, 6 in the morning. They're still here now at 8 and 9 o'clock at night. So we really don't have sympathy for corporate America that can't work 7 to 7. If you want staff to be aware of when Cigna's coming, then simply send the email out to all people in the district instead of sending it to all administrators. The email went to all administrators. I thank Mr. Ross for immediately responding to his entire staff and also CC'd me, so I know they got it immediately. But I'm hearing from tonight that there's people out in this room that still don't know that Cigna's supposed to come to their buildings. So that is an administrative problem that we don't want to deal with, okay? As far as everything else goes with Cigna, we're not blaming the board for picking Cigna. We understand the value of the dollar. However, after this many months and this many people, the association cannot handle the complaints. We are not here to be in the medical business, okay? We have hard enough jobs alone without having to worry about our family members every single day getting coverage, okay? When I look at the town side, I look at the police contract, I look at their medical coverage, I look at what they're getting in their contracts. It is crazy compared to what we're dealing with. It just shouldn't be. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members on insurance before I switch to President Johnson? Okay, John? Joe? We call the president. Yes. All right.
Joseph Johnson, 407 Durham Avenue. I unfortunately do not have a complaint about Cigna, but family, friends, and colleagues. I would first like to piggyback off of what Mrs. Maroney said, previously attested to, about the Community of Dreams event held at Ben Franklin Elementary School. That event was absolutely outstanding, and I encourage every board member and every teacher, administrator, and staff to attend next year and the years after. And we are coming up on the conclusion of Black History Month. I just wanted to take some time out to recognize some historical African-American figures who not only shaped African-American history, but American history as well. First off, we have W.E.B. Du Bois, a sociologist, historian, civil rights activist, and the leader of the Niagara Movement. The Niagara Movement was an African-American group who embraced equal rights for all African-Americans during a time in which many Americans opposed that idea. Next, we have Langston Hughes, a poet, columnist, and novelist. He was predominantly known as the leader of the Harlem Renaissance, in which these ideas and styles are still used today. And lastly, we have Kwame Ture, who was a predominant civil rights activist and a key contributor to the civil rights movement. From these concepts, he ultimately started the Black Power movement, a nonviolent response to the violent terror that destroyed many families and friends. And coming on to that, I just want to talk about the Lena Harris Foundation Mentorship Program. We started on February 9th. And February 9th, I just wanted to thank Mr. Errico and Mrs. Conway for coming in attendance. We had our guest speaker called, his name is John Hillman. He's a running back from Rutgers, and he just talked about how to always chase your dreams and to never give up while chasing those dreams. Next, we had Steve Longa, who is a linebacker for the Detroit Lions, come and talk to the students. He talked about what life is like in the NFL and how to work extremely hard, and how to work extremely hard and strive for the best in whatever you do. And lastly, we had my good friend Jaslyn Kavan, who talked about the college activities on a campus lifestyle and what it's like to be in a sorority and what it's like to talk about the everyday ins and outs of college. And next week, we have Chrislyn Espinal, who is a academic advisor for Raritan Valley Community College. She's going to talk about the academic aspect of college and what it's like, and how to create a schedule and how to maintain a timeline and stuff like that. And we just want to encourage all the board members to participate and attend. If you're free on a Saturday and want to come by, I think it's a great program so far. Moreover, I just want to talk about the trip for February 17th that we went on. And first off, I would like to thank Mr. Mashad for providing the bus, because without the bus, we wouldn't be able to go. And on Sunday, February 17, 2019, the students of the Lena Harris Foundation Mentorship Program spent the day on the campus of Monmouth University. I would just like to thank everyone who has helped out, including the Edison Board of Education, the Office of Admissions of Monmouth University, President Gray Demena of Monmouth University, International Student Advisor Corey Anzana, Monmouth University Athletics Department, and Monmouth University basketball player Sam Abizabe for coming and speaking to the students. Everyone made this day extremely special, and we thank you all so very much. And I brought with me some pictures from the day, so I'll just pass it to Mr. Brescher or Mrs. Chen, and we'll just go down the line. And this includes exactly what we did. This includes the tour, this includes meeting with the president, meeting the basketball players, and kind of just so on and so forth. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other public comments? See none? No?
Matt Rebnack, ETA, 2 Ethel Road. I know I had to wait till everybody else got a chance to speak to come back up, and I'm not going to belabor the health insurance, but I think there's 2 things I want to mention. Number 1 is that if you feel it's equal or better, you were sold a bag of goods, because it's not. And number 2, exactly what Mr. Bowden said, is that really neither party, you guys or us, should be in the insurance business. And unfortunately, it's almost forced us to be. That's what you pay people to do. It's what you pay an insurance company to do and a broker to do. There's one other thing, though, I wanted to mention. I forgot while I was up here before because of the health. The sidebar. I'm very disappointed. I came today hoping that that was going to finally be resolved. That was brought up, and actually back in early November, there was an issue that came up, and within 24 to 48 hours, we had a sidebar prepared that was sent to the administration in November. And again, this is going on now almost 4 months. And every week to 2 weeks, I'm getting hit by the people affected with this. I'm not going to talk about the sidebar, obviously. That's not for public discussion. But I'm hoping that the board will finally come to a conclusion so we can get this settled and put this behind us. I even told a number of people the other day that it's finally going to be on the board minutes. It's finally going to be approved. I know Mr. Mashad told me it had to go to the Finance Committee, which I know it did. So I don't know what the holdup is. But again, I'm hoping that, again, this gets resolved because it's going on 4 months since that sidebar was put together. Thank you.
It will be resolved in the next meeting. So, see none?
Andrew Heibel, Howard Avenue, Edison. On the superintendent search, I've seen online you are hiring a company, going out for bid, and it's due on the 6th. That's a, I guess I'm sorry? RFP for a company. So was there a procedure after that? Do you have a, can you discuss a little bit what your plans or procedures are?
Yes.
Thank you. Can you discuss it with us in public, or what, like if that, when that comes in, are we gonna?
Once we have the vendors, and we can talk.
Okay, and then they're gonna do the advertising, because I haven't seen it advertised yet. They're gonna handle all of that?
We'll talk to the vendor to discuss it.
Okay.
All right. So let's move on. Dan?
Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Laws 975, permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education of the Township of Edison as follows. 1, the public shall be excluded from discussion of and action upon the herein specified subject matters. 2, the general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is as follows. Attorney-client privilege discussion regarding the upcoming referendum. 3, it is anticipated at this time that the above stated subject matter should be made public at such time as the need for non-disclosure no longer exists, and 4, this resolution shall take effect immediately.
All right, can I have a motion? Okay, Mr. Errico, second. Mrs. Penn?
Dr. Chen?
Yes.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Brescher?
Yes.
Mrs. Peng?
Yes.
Mrs. Maroney?
Yes.
Mrs. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Errico?
Yes.
Mr. Shi?
Yes.
All yes.
All right, so we don't expect to come back after this. So, I'll see you next time.